Your time. This has been fascinating.
Thank you so much, Michael.
WNYC support comes from the Joyce Theatre, presenting Trinity Irish Dance Company. The Chicago-based company returns with a world premiere by Michelle Doran's original live music and more, now through February 22nd. Tickets at joyce.org. Every day, WNYC is working to get closer to New York and to New Yorkers. The underwriting we get from businesses helps power our independence. Learn how your organization can join in at sponsorship.wnyc.org.
On the next Brian Lehrer Show, as New York debates a tax hike on the wealthiest individuals and corporations, California is debating a one-time 5% tax on the wealth of billionaires. We'll hear from a leader of the campaign in favor of that and discuss the threat that billionaires will leave and the tax base might actually shrink. Also, it's our monthly Call Your Senator segment, My Questions and Yours, for New Jersey Senator Andy Kim. The Brian Lehrer Show, weekdays at 10 a.m. on WNYC.
It's 6:51. Marketplace Morning Report is next, and then later on Morning Edition. In 2024, the French woman Gisèle Picot became a hero to many women around the world when she waived her right to a private trial against her husband. Now she reflects on that decision and the journey that took her there in her new memoir, A Hymn to Life. That's coming up right here on Morning Edition on WNYC in about 15 minutes. 36 and cloudy on this Tuesday morning. Cloudy, then mostly sunny with a high of 47 today with a slight wind. A low around 37 tonight, and then tomorrow rain and a high near 45. We have snow in this forecast for this weekend. And looks like a lot of it, too.
Is now the time for banks to have lower cushions in case of disaster?
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Amazon Business, dedicated to helping businesses save time on office tasks and empower leaders with business buying solutions that support teams to focus on growing the business. Learn about smart business buying at amazonbusiness.com. And by GEP. With GEP Key Agentic AI and GEP Smart Software, GEP is at the forefront in agentic procurement orchestration and autonomous supply chains.
I'm David Brancaccio in Los Angeles. The Federal Reserve is looking at easing rules for banks with the hope that means more mortgage loans. It also means banks may be more vulnerable to the next financial crisis. Marketplace's Nova Safo is here with details.
Well, David, this news comes from the Fed's Vice Chair for Supervision, Michelle Baumann. She was speaking yesterday at a conference of the American Bankers Association, and she said regulation with regards to banks issuing and servicing mortgages has become too onerous after the financial crisis, causing banks to largely cede that business to specialty mortgage lenders and non-bank institutions.
Fewer banks engaged in the mortgage origination and servicing has reduced the consumer choice and competition that drives down cost. In addition, borrowers that experience financial distress seem to fare worse in a downturn with a non-bank servicer.
So what Baumann is proposing is easing capital requirements, the mix of cash, stock, and other assets that banks have to hold in case of trouble, as well as changing how risk is calculated with regards to mortgages, David.
Now, we've lived through some of this, Nova. Regulators tightened banking rules after the great financial crisis of 2008 and all the excesses and abuses in that mortgage system. Did Baumann address why easing the rules might be okay now?
Well, what she argues is that a lot has changed since regulations were tightened in 2013. She says now regulators better understand how banks handle mortgages, and they better understand the risks involved. And that's why she said that some changes can be made safely while keeping the banking system as a whole stable, David.
All right, Nova, thank you very much. Stock index futures are pointing to a lower opening for stock markets, with NASDAQ futures down 0.7% now. S&P futures are down 0.3%.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Schwab. Schwab knows that investors want control of their financial future. That's why when it comes to wealth management, Schwab is dedicated to giving investors more choices. More at schwab.com. And by Odoo.com, providing business management software with integrated programs for accounting, manufacturing, and operations. Odoo, all your business on one platform.
People who make bets on the future of tech mostly want to hear just two words these days. Artificial intelligence, according to PitchBook and the National Venture Capital Association. AI startups got 65% of all U.S. venture capital dollars last year, $222 billion. A lot of that goes toward physical infrastructure powering the AI boom, especially data centers that do the calculations. Marketplace's Megan McCarty-Carino has this tour.
Sometimes things are not as they appear. I understand this is actually a data center.
Yes, you wouldn't believe it walking by, and it has a very interesting story to how we shape the internet today.
We're in downtown Palo Alto, California, for our series on AI infrastructure. Eddie Espinoza is the customer operations manager of the data center that is hiding inside this ornate old building.
Let's go inside, take a look.
It's owned by a company called Equinix, which is one of those companies that you might not personally have heard of, but without knowing it, you're connected to all the time. Equinix specializes in something called co-location, which is kind of like apartment buildings for computing power, where customers can lease space for their data traffic. Equinix has data centers all over the country, and they're building more in hopes of capitalizing on the AI boom. But this one is special.
It is a historical building in the Historical Society of Palo Alto.
It was built in 1929 by the Pacific Telephone and Telegraph Company as a place for telephone switchboards.
Over the decades, those voices changed to bits and bytes, but the need to connect never changed.
Once inside, Eddie took us into a room with racks of servers humming away.
This is the basement. So in the 1995 era, it was the home of Alta Vista. It was one of the first major search engines in the 90s. So they're all office spaces down here, as you notice.
Wait, so they had their office spaces down here with all this machinery?
Yes.
It might be hard to picture given the gleaming campuses of big tech companies today, but a lot of early internet creators, like the founders of Alta Vista, were in spaces like this one. It's kind of spooky down here. It was dark, with creepy blue lighting and a maze of mesh cages to lock away servers.
This was the first cage of PAX back in 1996.
That is the big reason we're here. PAX is short for the Palo Alto Internet Exchange, which pioneered the business model that co-location companies use today and really created the foundation for the modern internet. Here's how it worked. Before PAX, the internet was mostly operated by research institutions and a few large telecom providers. They owned the virtual roads of the information highway, and those roads didn't connect in very many places. You had to pay tolls to jump from one network to another. The innovation at PAX was to just plug a bunch of networks together in a neutral location, almost like a roundabout.
They saw that in order to make the internet grow, this is what needed to be happen.
That created the system that helped make the cloud possible.
This is the home of the virtual world.
From telephone switchboards to early search engines to today's data-hungry AI companies, we humans have needed places like this to connect. I'm Megan McCarty-Carino for Marketplace.
And as we build more houses, both to make shelter more affordable or to recover from disasters or just to build something nice, a key challenge is the tens of thousands of differing building codes in cities, towns, and counties across the country. And we talked to a Massachusetts company that can dial in your local building code to its factory-built houses to make building these things faster and cheaper. It's part of a special report on the future of housing I co-host, a joint effort between my team here and This Old House Radio Hour. The special report is at the top of This Old House Now, wherever you get your podcasts. In Los Angeles, I'm David Brancaccio. You're listening to the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.
WNYC receives support from